The heart of the home, how small gestures create lasting belonging. How simple acts of kindness transform an ordinary house into a loving home. Most of us live in cold architecture. Beautiful kitchens. Expensive couches. Perfectly arranged shelves. And yet, something feels empty. We spend thousands on renovations, chasing aesthetic perfection. We scroll through curated interiors, museum-style living rooms, flawless spaces untouched by fingerprints or noise. But here is the uncomfortable truth. A house can be visually stunning and emotionally frozen. What if I told you that a single cup of tea, or a quiet word of support, could change the temperature of a room? Not metaphorically. Literally. Because the warmth of a home does not come from furniture. It comes from humanity. The myth of the perfect layout. Modern culture has convinced us that beauty equals belonging. Open concept kitchens. Minimalist furniture. Neutral palettes. We are obsessed with how a home photographs. But homes are not meant to be photographed. They are meant to be felt. A sterile, trendy home can look impressive to guests, but still feel hollow to the people who live inside it. Because true life in a house is not created by design. It is created by interaction. The laughter in the hallway. The small apology after a long day. The whispered "I'm proud of you." Furniture fills space. But kindness fills silence. And silence, when left unattended, becomes heavy. The invisible architecture of microgestures. There is a kind of architecture you cannot see. It is built not with bricks, but with gestures. Brewing coffee before your partner wakes up. Texting, "Drive safe." Placing a hand on someone's shoulder during a difficult conversation. These are microgestures. Small. Almost invisible. Easy to overlook. But they are not small in impact. Every consistent act of low-effort kindness builds psychological safety. And psychological safety is the foundation of belonging. When someone knows they are thought of, without having to ask, a bond strengthens. When someone feels supported, without performance, trust deepens. This is invisible architecture. It does not trend on social media. But it transforms lives. From performative hosting to quiet hospitality. We are often generous to guests. We light candles. We prepare meals. We tidy every corner. But what about the people who live with us? Do we offer them the same intentional hospitality? Or do we assume proximity replaces effort? True home is built not through performative hosting, but through consistent, quiet grace. A warm meal after a long day. A simple, "Tell me about it." A pause before reacting in frustration. The shift from assumption to intention changes everything. Because familiarity should never eliminate kindness. It should deepen it. Breaking the silence of routine. Here is one of the greatest threats to belonging. Digital distraction. Two people sitting on the same couch. Phones glowing. Silence heavy. Physically present. Emotionally absent. This is what I call hollow silence. It feels like distance without distance. Routine compounds it. Wake up. Rush out. Come home tired. Repeat. And slowly, connection fades, not because of conflict, but because of neglect. So how do we interrupt it? With verbal anchors. Specific words that disrupt emotional drift. I appreciate you. I see how hard you're trying. Thank you for doing that. These phrases act as anchors in the sea of routine. They pull people back into awareness. Active listening does the same. When you put the phone down. When you make eye contact. When you respond thoughtfully. You are renovating the relationship in real time. Not with grand gestures. But with presence. Rituals that anchor humanity. Belonging is not built once. It is reinforced repeatedly. Through rituals. Simple, recurring moments that ground a household in shared humanity. A hand-offered tea every evening. A Saturday morning breakfast ritual. A 5-minute check-in before bed. These tactile experiences matter. Touch matters. Eye contact matters. Tone matters. When you physically hand someone something warm, a mug, a blanket, you are not just offering comfort. You are saying, "You matter here." And over time, these rituals accumulate. They become emotional memory. They outlast any decor trend. They outlast any renovation. Because people do not remember the color of the walls. They remember how they felt within them. Creating belonging in busy lives. You might say, but life is busy. Of course it is. Deadlines. Children. Commutes. Stress. But belonging does not require hours. It requires intention. 30 seconds of eye contact. One sincere compliment. A gentle touch on the back. These are microscopic acts of grace. And microscopic acts repeated daily become culture. Even in high-stress households, small rituals can survive. A morning hug before leaving. A shared laugh at dinner. A nightly "what was the best part of your day?" Consistency beats intensity. Always. From structure to sanctuary. Over time, these tiny gestures accumulate. Like drops of water carving stone. What begins as a structure slowly becomes sanctuary. Sanctuary is not about silence. It is about safety. It is the feeling that within these walls, you can exhale. That you can fail and still be loved. That you can speak and still be heard. That you can rest and still be valued. A sanctuary is built by kindness. Not once. But repeatedly. The invisible bonds forged by microgestures create emotional insulation. When the outside world is harsh, home becomes refuge. Not because of square footage. But because of grace. A living organism, not a finished project. Your home is not a project to complete. It is a living organism to nurture. It breathes through conversation. It pulses through laughter. It strengthens through forgiveness. When you view your home this way, your priorities shift. You stop chasing perfection. You start cultivating connection. You stop asking, "How does it look?" You start asking, "How does it feel?" Because warmth is not purchased. It is practiced. The singular gesture to begin tonight. Transformation does not begin with renovation. It begins with one intentional act. Tonight, before you sleep, choose one person in your home. Look them in the eyes. And say something specific you appreciate about them. Not generic. Specific. "I noticed how patient you were today. I admire how hard you work. I'm grateful you're here." Then pause. Let the words land. That is it. That is how you raise the temperature of a room. That is how you replace hollow silence with warmth. That is how cold architecture becomes living sanctuary. The closing vision. Imagine walking into your home and feeling ease. Not because it is perfect. But because it is alive. Alive with kindness. Alive with grace. Alive with shared humanity. A loving home is not accidental. It is built through small, intentional gestures. Microscopic acts of grace. Hand-offered tea. Quiet words of support. Active listening. Consistent appreciation. And when these gestures accumulate, something extraordinary happens. For walls become belonging. Structure becomes sanctuary. And ordinary space becomes the heart of your life. Because the true temperature of a home is not measured in degrees. It is measured in kindness. Choose warmth. Choose grace. And watch your house transform into a place where souls feel safe. That is the heart of the home.